What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. By the way, I know I mentioned before that I used to make some videos, and I mean still planning to make some videos with my good friends Mary and Micah, but some people don't know who they are. Thankfully, I got you covered. Down in links below, or at least somewhere on the channel, there should be a set of playlists, one with videos of Mary and one with videos of Micah, so you can really get to know them. I highly recommend checking them out, especially if you want to see a silly little goober like Mary. Anyway, without further ado, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. DM thinks Struggle Snuggle is engaging. I knew this guy in college. We'll call him Mike. Oh no, not another Mike. And he used to be good friends. During the pandemic lockdown, me and the group of guys I lived with decided to get into D&D. None of us had ever played before, but Mike had prior experience and presented us with 5e's Tomb of Annihilation. Mike was known for being a huge theater kid who loved drama and singing. I figured these traits would be nice bonuses as a DM, but they'll prove to be a partial source with some really awkward moments around the table. Fast forward to a few sessions in, we hit a slow point where there's a lot of talking and roleplay scenes that didn't have my character in them. Started sketching my notebook to occupy my hands, keep focusing because drawing helps me concentrate on words. For some reason, Mike took this as me not paying attention, and he proceeds to slam the table and scream, "Pay attention!" The whole table fell silent. Everybody was shooting confused looks at each other. A few moments of awkward silence passed. I chose to table the confrontation for later because I noticed he was visibly drunk. Is it the same Mike? We literally just talked about a story just the other day about a drunk Mike. Is this the same Mike by any chance? Could be just coincidence, but maybe, potentially, possibly, maybe the Mike moved on to somebody else and he got into theater and got to drinking. Maybe this was before his drunk arc, who knows? Next day we had a one-on-one conversation. Apparently he was upset because he thought I wasn't paying attention. Told him I draw the focus, to which he apologized and said he would keep that in mind going forward. I pointed out that the others had been on and off their phones, to which he said he expected better of me. I reiterated that I draw to focus and we dropped it. So you draw to focus, but everybody else is on their phone. And Mike decides, oh, this guy's on his phone? No, he's clearly paying attention 100%. That guy's on his phone? Yeah, definitely paying attention. This guy is, he's looking at succubi women on his Twitter. Yeah, definitely paying attention 100%. Drawing? You're drawing at my table? Pay attention right now. Can't believe you're not paying attention. Everybody else is paying attention. Don't you see them on the phones paying attention so much? This guy's absurd. For real. Whenever Mike felt like people weren't giving him enough or engaging with the game that way he expected, he'd get mad and try to solve the issue at the table without just flat out discussing whatever the issue he had. One of the players, the fighter, was purely an audience member who just liked hanging out and rolling dice. Fighter had also expressed he was bad at improv and didn't like doing the roleplay part of the game. Even knowing this, Mike would put the fighter on the spot for roleplay every other session. This led to Mike delivering these long in-character rants and monologues where he'd get weepy and cry. Keep in mind that it was random NPCs suddenly trauma dumping at the fighter with no context or reason to be doing it. Then Mike would point at the player as if to say, "And now you go." I think the worst it got during the stealth assassination mission the king put us on. We needed to kill the king's son because he wanted the line of succession to go to his younger, more ambitious son. In order to do that, we needed to kill the older son, who was stuck at the castle in a gilded cage set of circumstances. Our changeling intended to sneak in and murder the guy in his sleep. Instead, she gets caught by the person she's supposed to kill. She tries to trick the target by saying she was a maid sent to clean. DM then proceeds to describe the changeling getting graphically, struggle snuggle by the target. Session ends leaving everyone super uncomfortable. What? Maybe it's something the son does with the maids? Maybe like, oh god, the nightly maid is here. Finally, I can get my rocks off. Zip. Seriously though, this is messed up. Just out of nowhere, why are you just tossing in struggle snuggle just to try to get people's attention? It's like somebody just using that just for shock value. Oh, just right in your face. It's like a jump scare, except the jump scare is struggle snuggle. Why struggle snuggle of all things? Why to the player? Why just pull that out of nowhere? It's like he had like an ace in a hole, but the ace is just horrible things to happen to players just out of nowhere. Could have had other things going on. Maybe he was, I don't know, like a weird foot freak or something. He's like, take off your shoes. Take off your shoes. I want to see your feet or something. I don't know. Something that would be definitely better than that. Campaign died not long after. Felt like Mike wanted to get specific reactions out of us or engage with the game in a way that he was not seeing. All of us liked playing and we were having fun. We would tell him. It was when he did the weird, edgy or shocking junk that we got put off. Edit. I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying, why didn't you guys just leave? He was our roommate, and we could tell he was drunk, so we figured it would be more useful to confront him about it when he was sober. It wasn't really a situation that we could just walk away from. We're trying to handle it with tact so that it didn't turn into a bigger problem. Oh, Mike definitely got a reaction. You guys all left and decided not to play. What a reaction. Good job, Mike. Well done. I guess, I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. Just Mike sounds like an unhinged toddler, basically. Just, he sees people not paying attention, and he just wants to do something for the sake of shock factor, just to kind of get people's attention. Probably should have read the room, maybe done something else. Maybe there's some other shocking environment or shocking mystery happen, instead of just random struggle snuggle for the sake of struggle snuggle. And it's also graphic struggle snuggle, too. Probably wanted severe detail specifically describing it. I bet you Mike is the kind of guy that literally pre-rolled the whole thing, just to have it ready so you can read it out for everybody, to get like a whoa factor or like a whoa man factor. Definitely didn't get that kind of factor. Got people to leave. That's the only reaction Mike was able to get, is literally have people leave the table. Absolutely twisted, absolutely messed up. Oh, let's get to the next story for today. Seriously, I don't know what it is. Why is so many RPG horror stories lately, at least from the collection that I've collected? I mean, not all of them obviously, but there's a good chunk of them. There's a lot of chunks of them that's like, hey, struggle snuggle here, struggle snuggle there. I don't know what's going on, dude. I don't know what's happening. My DM butchered my character's mother. I played in a campaign a couple years ago with an actual pretty interesting premise. The game took place in an afterlife plane. Not all of us were there because our character had died, but mine was. My character was a young magic prodigy of an elf who died to a freak accident. He felt his death was unfair, and his main goal in the campaign was to use magic to find a way back to the material plane and find his mother. This goal was something my character worked towards over many IRL months worth of sessions. Eventually, he found a way to project himself to the material plane and sort of scry. He discovered that his mother had actually died as well. Some sessions later, we figured out when the afterlife my mother was and began traveling there. Before this session in which we were going to find her, I offered to give my DM some ideas on how to roleplay my mother. She was someone my character talked about many times throughout the campaign and was honestly the most impactful part of my backstory. She was meant to be intelligent, cunning, and regal, many of the traits my character had. My DM told me, no, I got you. I have an idea on how I'm going to roleplay her already. Don't worry. Famous last words. Cue the most annoying possible grandma voice an adult man could muster. A warm and frail, oh, I'm just glad an old lady attitude. A goddamn new old man ghost boyfriend, and absolutely zero trait that my character had. She was basically the worst stereotypical grandma anyone could have come up with. She wasn't even supposed to be that old. Even roleplayed her as being a bit dumb or senile. It was bullcrap. Thanks for reading. When they said the DM butchered your character's mother, I thought they actually like with a cleaver or something. I didn't think, why did I think with a cleaver? I don't know why I did. The stories have been kind of messed up as of late. But yeah, that's not okay. It's one thing to add your own input to a NPC character's backstory, important character, right? Let's say, for example, your player has a mother as part of their backstory, and they're kind of an influential person on them. But it's another thing to basically be like, no. I gotcha. I know. You don't need to tell me how to roleplay your character's mother. I know how to roleplay a character's mother, and they completely adhere to doing nothing of the sort and pull up no characteristics whatsoever. Let's say, for example, I have a character in my campaign. They're playing a sorcerer, dragon bloodline. Their mother is a literal dragon, and I fully okayed and approved that specific caveat as part of the character because I thought it was really heckin' cool. I love that idea. I think it would be so cool. And let's say, for example, they do finally come to the family home that's supposed to be nobility, but instead, they're not noble home whatsoever. They just live in a stick somewhere on a farm, and nobody is a dragon whatsoever, and the only dragon they're doing is dragging the nuts around everywhere, just being meme lords and stuff. They'll completely butcher the character entirely. You ask for a dragon, you get dragging my nuts across your face. Wow, what a trade. Sounds like a horrible trade. Anyway, this DM did so terrible for the player. So awful for the player. I'm sorry the DM did it to you, honestly. That is awful. Anyway, let's continue. DM violently murders my character's love interest. Myself and two other players are in an online campaign of Call of Cthulu. Masks of, oh god again, Nyarlathotep. That's nearing the final chapter. I'll try to avoid major spoilers. We've been fairly successful, only losing one PC who delved too deeply into the mythos, and a plethora of NPCs who sacrifice themselves for our party, while still thwarting the cult's plans at every turn. The party is traveling from Australia to Hong Kong. My character's love interest, who we just rescued from the cult in Australia, insists on coming along. Try to talk to her out of it, DM makes me roll, and I fail, so she's coming along to help. At this point, I make a joke that other PCs better be careful because I'll sacrifice them to save her. In Hong Kong, I'm the only character interested in investigating the central mystery of the campaign, so I'll go with a newly hired guide,
an NPC ally, and my girlfriend to an asylum to question a madman while the other players and some NPCs go off an unrelated side quest. At the asylum, we find and talk to the guy we are looking for, and he is really unhelpfully insane. I was expecting to get much information from him, but my character is starting to build rapport. I brought the creepy oracular painting by the trouble artist in London of the Carlisle expedition in Africa, gave it to him and he really liked it. And I'm probably the player who enjoys social roleplay the most, so I'm enjoying the challenge. Then out of nowhere, a man walks into the room in the asylum and introduces himself as Carl Stanford of the Silver Twilight Lodge, and a follower of Cthulhu. Neither my character nor I have heard of him. My character had previously only heard the name Cthulhu in passing. Carl demands a book my character had never seen, from a person he never met, in a city my character had never been to. Unsurprisingly, my character is unable to oblige him. He also asks about events involved in Africa, but one, I don't want to talk about them in front of the madman who is professing his love for one cultist he killed, and two, the Africa ritual ended with my character going temporarily insane and the DM basically having the party black out and wake up later. So both in and out of character, I can't really say what happened. That battle was also where the PC disappeared after making a deal with Noddins, losing all their sanity and maybe becoming a ghost rider champion of Noddins? Throughout all this, my character is exceedingly polite to the random stranger, who interrupted our private conversation and my ranting about the insignificance of humanity in comparison to himself and of Nyarlathotep to Cthulhu. My character is Irish, so he's accustomed to being insulted by random strangers for no reason in his campaign and bears it with no equanimity. For real, like how do you pronounce it? Nyarlathotep? I think I'm mispronouncing it, honestly. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Please let me know down in the comments below how it's supposed to be pronounced for me to learn for the future.
Nyarlathotep.
At this point we're getting nowhere, and Stanford asks in a menacing tone which of the companion present is most dear to me. Definitely sounds like he is going to maim, kill, or torture whoever I choose. My character is not willing to answer. Stanford casts a spell and freezes the two companions in place. He then asks the question again and begins to cast another spell. There doesn't seem to be any good option available that doesn't result in someone dying, so I attempt to tackle him to disrupt this spell. I fail and then fail a contested power check against his 200 plus power. Is that a lot? He uses magic to freeze me and mentally compel me to answer that my girlfriend is most dear to me. Then he magically explodes her body in front of me in a shower of blood and viscera, which the DM describes in great detail. I'm stunned. I walk away from the computer to make some food and process what happened. Later in the session, Stanford appears again to another PC with NPCs present and ends up making the same demand of choosing which NPC is most dear to them. I don't recall what he asked them about before that. It was a much shorter conversation that went almost immediately to his demand to choose. That player refused to say anything. Stanford respected that option instead of mentally compelling them to choose, and went away without exploding anyone. Wait, wait, so for you, you had to be compelled to say, oh yeah, my favorite person is my girlfriend, and then pff, she explodes. For the other players, who is your favorite person? Silence, I'm taking that. Good day now, bye. Why this kind of treatment? Why are you forced to say exactly who it was most near and dear to you, and everybody else would just like, yeah, no problem, yeah, no problem. Yeah, you don't have to say anything else. Silence is more than fine. It sounds like the DM wants to either pick on you, or they specifically want to put yourself in kind of position to kind of give you a motivation to go after this Stanford character. I don't know why you guys are already playing Call of Cthulhu, trying to thwart a cult. You already have a reason and motivation and stuff. For whatever reason, the DM is just like, yeah, we're just gonna have grotesque murder just for the sake of having a grotesque murder, just because it's probably cool, guys, right? Isn't that cool, guys? Neat, huh? I hope the DM explains themselves about the reasoning behind it. I mean, I guess they don't have to, but I hope they explain why specifically they made your character say who is important to you. But for the other character, nah. No option. Silence is golden. Silence is perfect. It could be potentially because he decided to push his special DMPC character, his BBEG and stuff. I'm not sure what Stanford is supposed to be in this situation. I'm assuming some sort of a super epic bad guy. And how dare you push my super epic bad guy? Now you're gonna be forced to say who is important to you instead of choosing silence. Like, you kind of put it, you know, your back against the wall. I mean, you didn't even know the silence was even an option on the table. I guess you could just say nothing completely and just be like, I say nothing and stuff. But probably the most likely thing that happened is that you decide to push the super special cool character, and they were like, okay, because you did that, now I'm gonna punish you and stuff. I don't know what's the point for it. I'm assuming just gratuitous murder for the sake of gratuitous murder. I'm fine with my character dying or NPCs dying when it's a result of my decision, but I don't see any way to have avoided what seemed to have been a pre-planned outcome by the DM, absent some amazingly lucky rolls. Honestly and diplomatically got nowhere and only tried violence as a last resort when it seemed like the only option left. Honestly, don't see that not derailing the campaign, as why would my character care about the last remnants of the Nyarlathotep's cultists when there's another cult claiming to be even more powerful and going about blowing people up with displays of magic that dwarfs anything we've seen from Nyarlathotep cultists. But what I feel the most disappointment with the DM, who I thought was better than this. This campaign began really strong with what felt like an amazing amount of freedom for the players to choose what to do in a sandbox, and now it's ending with what feels like a ham-fisted attempt at a cheap shock. If the DM did not want to have the NPC accompany you, they would have just been like, okay, you convince the NPC not to accompany you, so you don't have to have your girlfriend nearby. But they specifically made you roll to see if, like, your girlfriend decides, or your character's girlfriend decides to stay or go. You failed the roll, so they went with you. So then DM is like, you know what, it's a perfect opportunity for me to introduce a Stanford character, apparently canonical character when it comes to the Call of Cthulhu universe or something. I don't know, fully sure. I'm not exactly a Call of Cthulhu expert or anything Cthulhu related, as you can tell. But they introduce the character, force you in a really bad situation, force you to kind of do something, anything at all. Don't give you an option as silence as an option whatsoever, at least nothing that's obvious. You make an action to try to save somebody. It fails. Of course it fails because they have like 200 something power or whatever that's supposed to mean. I'm assuming it's some insane stats or something. I don't know. And the DM just use that as a way to just like do shocking gratuitous murder for the sake of shocking gratuitous murder. What, to give you motivation to go after the cult? You're the only person that's actually role-playing and stuff, trying to investigate the cult already in the first place. You don't need extra motivation. This was done for the sake of just no reason. This was done for the sake of, which feels stupid and cheap. I don't like when DMs do that specific thing, like, oh, you have an NPC here? Well, I'll just have them be killed right in front of you, just to have shock value for you. Boom! If there's a reason for it, if there's a rhyme or reason why this has to be the specific way, that's one thing. But in this way, the DM didn't even do things fairly. It would be one thing if, let's say, for example, the Stanford character met every NPC separately by themselves and took something precious from them. But they clearly didn't, because they came to your character, forced you to say it's your girlfriend, destroyed your girlfriend. Went to another character, asked him to give some sort of a name or somebody precious, accepted silence as an easy pass, and they're like, okay, I'm just not gonna kill anybody for you. Silence is golden, I will take it. Why this kind of like a two-tier decision is beyond me. I don't know what the DM is going for, but honestly, I really don't think it's really worth it or really fair for you to be in this kind of game. Especially if the DM is not going to, I don't know, they could easily just retcon and be like, oh, okay, never mind. Hopefully you can have a conversation with the DM about this and have them see, like, you know, see eye to eye about the situation, because what they're doing is gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous and just doesn't really make sense because it doesn't add up. If this is done to one player, it should be done to all players to give them extra motivation. But it clearly doesn't. It feels a little bit two-tiered or like, you know, kind of picky-choosy. It feels weird. I don't get it, man. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.